Oh. Hi everyone! Let's go that way. There we go. Hey. No, I don't have the questions. Feeding the fish before we get started, everyone. Just waiting for people to join. Hopefully I'm in frame. All we're waiting on now is our coffees. Oh, hey. No. You want to do that?
Hey guys, how you going?
Welcome everyone to a Sunday morning coffee.
Sunday morning coffee. We're going to try something slightly different this week. Whether we do this on a regular basis or not, who knows? We'll see how your reception is and whether we enjoy doing this. We're not normally live people. Anyone who's ever watched us film will know that we don't do things in one take, ever.
No.
So,
Well, some things.
very rarely.
It's usually a fluke.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we thought we'd start today just by giving you a little bit of background information. We know there's some new subscribers that haven't really seen a lot of our videos. So we just got married last weekend. Whoa! That's our dog.
She's not being sick.
No, she's just coughing. Nice. So we just got married last weekend. We've been in the reefing game for 4 years.
4 years now. Yeah, we'll be too.
4 years.
2016 we started.
Yep.
End of 2016. So roughly this time in 2016 we were out hunting, trying to work out what type of tank we wanted. And actually no, we were on a cruise ship. And we were making this decision. Right, this time exactly 4 years ago we were on a cruise ship and we made the decision, when we get back, we're going to start hunting for our first reef tank.
Yeah, we went snorkeling and went, this is cool. And I said to Gordon, I've always wanted a saltwater tank. And he goes, well, let's do it. And I went, ooh. Wasn't expecting you to agree.
I've always enjoyed fish tanks as well. I've never really had a fish tank myself as a kid, but my family always had tanks. So it was a definitely easy, natural progression. So.
Yeah, so we started with a Red Sea Reefer 250. We had that up for 2 and a bit years.
Yeah, about two good years,
Yep. Had that going full steam ahead, and then we got Reefzilla behind us. So Reefzilla was a second-hand tank because we'd never be able to afford a tank this size full price.
Nope, definitely not. Definitely not.
So for those who don't know, Reefzilla is a 4 foot by 3 foot by 2 foot tank. So quite a hefty tank there. About 180 gallons for Americans out there, 800 litres-ish in Australian.
Yep.
And the rest of the world.
A good amount of water to keep everything as stable as we can. The problem we did have was obviously, you may or may not tell by our house, we live in an old style house. which is all timber floors, and we're a high set off the ground. So we had an issue of putting basically a ton, by the time you include the tank, the water, all the bits and pieces, the
Probably
rock,
a ton and a half.
probably a ton and a half on a very small footprint, and we were very concerned about what was going to happen, whether it was all going to fall through the floor or not. So we got underneath the house and we strengthened all the bearers that go that way, added some more knockers that go that way, and then we put in some
Support
acro props, I think they're called, supports, which is basically they're literally underneath where Darren and I are sitting now, to support the extra weight. So
Hi Parker's Reef, hi Katrina, how are you both?
Hey,
Thanks
guys.
for joining us. If you've got any questions, just fire them at us. But yeah, so supporting the floor was, it mightn't have been structurally necessary, but it was good for peace of mind.
yeah, knowing that we go to bed at night knowing that it wasn't going to
Fall through the
fall through the floor and have a loss of fish, loss of tank, loss of house. So
Yeah, because it's in our living room too, so
Yeah.
that would have been nasty.
yeah,
Probably when we first set up Reefzilla, we did have a lot of water rushing through the tank, so we had a very powerful return pump that
that
was,
was Guna 1600.
Yep.
16,000. 1600.
because we were planning on doing a chiller and things remotely, so we thought we needed that power.
And we're also at that time we're also using the Bashy skimmer, which also needed to be run through the pump. So we needed extra power. So
Reefzilla was quite noisy for quite some time in our
noisy.
living room.
Very, very noisy.
It was
Very, very
like a
noisy.
waterfall, basically.
So, the water level was really high as well, and the sump level was relatively low considering. So
Hey Chris, thanks for the love. Good to see you. But yeah, so Reefzilla, we went through quite a trial by fire with Reefzilla. Bella's reverse sneezing our people. She does that. We went through a trial by fire. Basically, with the second-hand tank, it's hard to dial it in to your specifications because someone else has already done it. Like, we hadn't changed much of the plumbing or anything like that, so it was quite a struggle to get Reefzilla going with how we wanted it. And we were starting to make some headway after about 9 months of it having been set up, and then we introduced some new fish.
yep, tanks.
Tangs.
Yes.
Hi Nicholas, hi Gary. Oh, thanks Gary, thanks. Congrats on the wedding, he says. All the way from Scotland, thanks. But yeah, so we've got a powder blue, and obviously the first thing a powder blue does is get big.
Yep. It finds it's already in the tank. That's our assumption. We did put the fish fully through TTM. They were perfectly healthy and happy before they went in the tank. We have a feeling, we can't confirm this, but we're feeling that Bugs
Bugs our rabbit fish.
normally front and centre, but he's not at the moment, always has had it of one form or another. So
Or had something.
something, yeah. So we,
So Bugs was one of our first sort of fish after about a year, and like quarantine for him was just visual basically.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
We didn't really do much in the way of any medications for quarantining because we didn't really know what we were doing.
No,
so
we just chucked him in another tank for
14 days, made
14 days, if that.
made sure he was eating, and then popped him in.
Yeah.
So we have a feeling that Bugs has had something. I'm not sure if it is ick or flukes or what, but yeah. Every now and then he just gets a little spotted outbreak. But anyway,
Yeah.
after we had the ick, we closed down. Well,
We lost 4 fish.
yeah, we lost
Four fish. I think 5 in the end. I think it was. I think we lost another one throughout the.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we lost a few fish.
yeah, mostly our originals and 2 of the new ones.
Yeah. So we shut down Reefzilla completely. Pulled all the corals out. Chucked them all into the Red Sea.
We did the unusual thing of actually medicating our display tank.
Yep.
We use Couperine, which is by Seachem, and it's very easy to remove. It doesn't stay in the rocks or sand. We basically just use carbon to get it out and a lot of skimming.
Yep.
And it came out really easy. So we had him quarantined for 90 days. So we went over the 72 days recommended and went for 90 days.
And this all happened while we went to Macna last year. So the good thing was we were away for 3 weeks, so we didn't get to see the tank every day for 3 weeks. Be a good thing or a bad thing. Everything was fine there, there wasn't any issues, and by the time we got back, it was getting close to being ready to be put back together again.
Yeah.
About another month or so after that.
Chris has said, I'm looking at upgrading to a similar sized tank. Would you recommend buying a used tank and new gear, or buy all new?
Tank, I'd probably go second hand again. If you can find what you're looking for, the right size, the right dimensions,
Right price?
the right price, I would definitely go second hand tank as long as it looks in good condition and the glass isn't scratched.
I mean, we've got a few little scratches in the tank,
but you can't see them. To be honest, I wouldn't even know where they are. I could probably find them if I went looking for them.
Yeah.
Gear wise, I think I'd go new.
Yeah.
New, like a piece of glass or a tank or a piece of glass, nothing really can go wrong unless it's got a leak. But a skimmer, lights and stuff like that, they've all got a lifespan on them, and unless you're buying it from somebody who is just replacing them because they want the latest and greatest, or because they don't like that particular type of light or
Or it
skimmer,
hardly been used.
yeah, then that would be okay. Obviously, if the price is right, the condition is right. But otherwise, I would probably personally go new for my equipment. We have gone new for all of our equipment on Reefzilla.
Yep.
The only thing that was probably the original was the original Gen 3.
Yeah. The Gen 4.
Original
Gen 4 Radion.
Yeah, the original Gen 4 Radion was probably the only thing we carried across. So everything else is brand new, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just with the second-hand tank, I'd also probably re-plumb it, because that was the issue we had. We had all this plumbing under there and expectations of what the previous owner had, and we're not very good at plumbing, and we were just trying to use what was there.
Yep.
It's probably best to re-plumb it how you want.
Yep.
We ended up actually redoing the sump as well, because
Redesigning the stump.
so the sump was designed as a display refugium, so it actually was filled up like this far from the top.
Which is about that much more than what
It is now.
than it is now. So a good probably a good third of what the water capacity is in there. We haven't put back in there.
Yeah, so we redesigned the sump, and that means we sectioned off a section for the ATO as well. So we made the most of the sump for how we wanted it, but we never really replumbed it. So we had a lot of loose pipes that were going nowhere, that were just blocked off, and it wasn't really efficient.
Or pretty.
And also the pipes that were used on the tank were actually not metric, which
so everything was imperial, which made it really difficult to find 2 bits of pipe from a local plumbing supply or hardware that would join up. So it was things got a little bit difficult there at one stage. So.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely go for a second-hand tank, Chris. But yeah, I would definitely go
New gear. Go new tank if you can afford it. If you've got the money there and you want a particular type of tank, if you want to go to the Red Sea Peninsula or something like that, go for it. Like we would love a Red Sea Peninsula. Wouldn't actually fit anywhere in this house, so it would never happen while we're in this particular house.
Oh, we'd make it fit.
Not that it wouldn't fit, it just wouldn't look right. It would look weird. Although we could knock at that.
None of that. But yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yes. So our suggestion: second-hand tank and new gear.
You got any other questions?
All right, we're going to questions, are we?
Yeah, why not?
Give me a second to try and find where these are in Facebook.
Well, while he's doing that, I'll just quickly wrap up our Reefzilla experience. So after we did that, we decided to really look at the sump after we had the ick outbreak and started putting Reefzilla back together. So we got, the first upgrade was a Clara C. That best thing ever, filter salts, don't use them, just get a Clara C. It's so much better. And at that time, we swapped out our return pump to something that was less powerful, but more controllable. So we've got it actually dialed right down for the Clara C. It's made it a lot quieter.
You barely hear the tank now, it's fantastic.
Yeah, mainly the only noise is it trickling down the downpipes at the back.
And the occasional, when the return back on the surface sort of breaks the surface a little bit occasionally.
Yeah.
Was that fished up or no? We're good.
But yeah, so once we got that in, that was probably the biggest thing. We also got a brand new skimmer as well. The Bash C wasn't working as desired. We just couldn't control it.
Yeah, there was no controllability. We had no controllability of our pump. Because it was just a straight Laguna 1600 or 16,000. 16,000? 1600?
I don't know.
Whatever it was. The straight pump, just straight AC pump, straight into a power point. The only control was on or off. So we couldn't control the flow into the Bashi. We couldn't. We didn't know enough about the Bashi skimmer itself to actually set it up to be running properly either. So
And it came with the setup.
Yeah, it came with the setup. So they're a fantastic skimmer, but it just wasn't right for us. So we went for a Red Sea 900.
Yeah, Red Sea 900 skimmer.
Yep.
Love this
Love it.
skimmer. This
So
skimmer
quiet.
is probably the best skimmer I've had. Just in terms of controllability, you can really dial it in, and when you touch the dial, you can see instant results in the head height of the bubbles. Like, it's the best, and you've also got that hose and you can just drain it out.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Except for the smell.
Yeah, but you get that with all
Yeah,
skimmer.
that's the Red Sea skimmer has been fantastic. We got that pretty much. We just made the decision that the Bashi wasn't working. We just ran out of coin. So
Yeah. So we upgraded the skimmer, we got the Clara C. Third thing we've got is the Neptune Apex. Now we're still very limited on what we're using it for because we've only just had it.
and we got
couple
the
of
very,
weeks.
very, very, very basic as well. So yeah.
But first thing we noticed was our temperature was all over the place. We were relying on a digital thermometer, a cheap thing from a pet store,
I
and
think it was like $20 maybe.
it was like 2 degrees, it was reading 2 degrees lower than the temperature in the tank. So we were running constantly 2 degrees higher, and like we were having the heaters kick on because we thought it was actually colder than it was.
Yes. So the tank was already at the right optimal temperature, and then we were heating it up more with the heaters.
Yeah.
So,
Freddie, hey Freddie, we do use metric like the rest of the world, it's just the US that use imperial. But like most of the rest of the world, we do have access to imperial. It's just a lot harder to find because,
yeah.
But we like to use a lot of imperial conversions in our videos and things like that, just because we do have a lot of followers in the US.
Yeah,
so.
you'll notice a lot of the time we'll put up, it's this in centimetres and it's this in inches. So it becomes so everyone knows what we're talking about. I know what an inch is, but I'd rather talk in centimetres.
Exactly right. Hey David, thanks for joining us. Okay.
Alright, we've got some questions here. These couple of questions that came through on Facebook over the night.
So Troy says, starting out, setting up a tank, what's the best way to go about it?
Research.
Yeah, definitely.
Research is your number one key for sort of spend as much time as you can and work out what you want before you decide to go and actually buy anything.
Yep. So YouTube's a great resource.
BRSTV,
Yep.
one of your first things that we started looking at.
Mr. Saltwater
Mr.
Tank
Saltwater
is really
Tank.
good. He
Yep.
actually has a printed booklet or an e-booklet of how to decide on what size tank, what size sump, and everything like that.
It was very helpful.
It was like about $50. I would recommend anyone who's indecisive to actually go for that, because he goes the pros and cons about each size, the
Yeah.
pros and cons of the sump, pros and cons of everything. So you can make it an informed decision. It also depends on the other decision you have to make is what sort of system you actually want to run.
Yeah.
I mean, a fish-only system is quite
Basic and pretty
basic.
easy. Yeah.
The best thing about a fish-only system is that you don't need expensive lights. You just need lights that are good enough to light up the tank and show off the colours.
That's it. Yeah.
As
As soon as you start adding corals, then you've got to make sure you've got the right lighting.
And then, of course, it depends on what sort of coral reef you want to go for. If you want to go for a LPS softy tank, they are quite easy because you don't need as clean a water. You also, that means you don't need a high-end skimmer and things like that.
Yep.
You don't need to do as many water changes. You can get away with a bit of dirtier water. Whereas as soon as you go mixed reef or SBS dominant, that's when you really need to have clean water, which is what we're trying to try with at the moment.
So your next step, once you've sort of decided on, you've done your research, you need to decide on what size tank you want. Our recommendation, or my recommendation, would be to go as big as you can fit and big as you can afford. It's better to go a bigger tank up front and spend a little bit more money up front than to go a nano reef now and then realise in 6 months' time, I wanted that 250 or 350 or whatever size tank you wanted.
So I think something like the Red Sea Reefer 250 was a perfect starter
It's a
tank.
good starter tank, but we have
So
very
that's
quickly.
250 litres, which is about 80 gallons, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's doing that off the top of my head.
I think that's right. It does sound right. So,
But yeah, definitely that sort of size. It's
Yeah.
big enough to be more stable, but small enough to fit pretty much anywhere in your house. So
if we had our time again, I probably would have gone a bigger tank again. Probably would have gone something like the 350 or something similar to that. I think the Red Sea 250 was a fantastic tank, and I still use it. It's my tank over there now. It was not. I would have liked to have gone bigger up
Yeah.
front. I think so.
definitely.
Yeah. Next thing you want to do is find your local fish shop and become good friends with your local fish shop.
Definitely.
Those guys are fantastic. Whoever your local fish shop is, they're always fantastic. They will look after you. See other shops as well. Go out and see multiple shops, but find one that you're happy with and comfortable with, and you know will be there if you have a problem, and will be there to help you out. So that's probably the next big thing, is get that relationship with the local fish shop.
And join online forums
Yeah.
and just ask questions. There's no stupid questions in this hobby.
Stupid question is one you don't ask.
Some people, obviously, internet being the internet, will go off at you,
Hate
but
with-
you'll
haters will hate. We've already got our dislike.
you'll always get one person there that will take the time to answer your question. Alfredo has said from Portugal, he goes, do you guys live close to the Great Barrier Reef?
Kind of. Close as in we're driving distance to get there, yes.
Yep, so we're about 4 hours from the southern tip
Yes, that's right.
of the Great Barrier Reef by car.
Yeah.
And obviously the
I think,
top would be what, 18,
20 odd hours.
20 odd hours
North
drive.
of that, yeah. So Queensland is a very big, kind of big state. So we're in Queensland, it's a very big state. The Barrier Reef sort of starts probably a third of the way up. There's a couple of bay islands near where we are, and then you've got Fraser Island, which is a big island, and then the reef starts at the top end of Fraser Island, and then it goes all the way up to Cape York, which is all the way up the other end. So
It's very big.
but in saying that, it's not like we could just pull up at the in Harvey Bay and chuck on a snorkel and go snorkeling in corals, because it's actually quite a few kilometres offshore. So yeah, it's not quite there, but we are in the right area. We live in a bayside suburb, so we are actually not far from the water. The water's about 700 metres that way behind us, and there is corals in the bay. Not many, but there is corals. There is collectors that actually go out there and collect, and there is plenty of fish out there. So, and then our boat ride across to one of the islands, there's a artificial reef. We did do a video on it a while ago. Did we? Yeah, we did, yes. We're at snorkeling around it. That's on Tangalooma. So that's probably our closest reef that we can go snorkeling at.
He also asked, how do we think the barrier reef is doing? It's a bit hit and miss. If you follow us on Facebook, every week I try and post the updates from the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. So they have scientists that actually tell you about the condition of the reef. So check out that. It usually is posted around on a Friday or a Thursday for America. But yeah, check out our Facebook page. We do post those regular updates.
Yep.
Second part of Troy's question was water changes. How much do you do and how often?
We use natural seawater to start with. Despite some people's negative thoughts on natural seawater, we like it, we use it. It's economical for us, convenient for us as well. We get someone to deliver it to us, we don't collect it ourselves. We try, and I say try because it doesn't always happen, we try and do a water change on Reef Sealer every 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's sort of about every 3 weeks because Reef Sealer is actually quite stable. Our nutrients for the first time are actually in check, so we don't need to do a lot. But yeah, we do probably about 100 litres?
No, probably about 200 litres. I think it's about there, if you can see over Darren's head. So roughly about there on the tank is what we drop down to, and then we replace the water pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got an IBC under the house, we just pump it up. So it's actually quite a simple process.
Yeah, we've got 1,000 litres stored under the house.
Yeah.
So.
The Red Sea, it gets neglected, to be completely honest. It doesn't get water changes as often as it should do.
It doesn't get
water tested. It's thriving on neglect at the moment, that's my opinion.
Yeah, it's got so much coralline algae, I'm quite jealous. Reef Sealer is just spotting and it is improving.
Yeah.
Oh, hi Yoshi. New fish. Okay.
And we answered all Troy's, yeah?
Yeah, so we've answered all Troy's. Josh says he's got a 75 gallon, he wants to set up with coral and doesn't want to spend a ton of lights. When by no means light experts, I would probably have a look at Inappropriate Reefers videos. He's got a series on doing a budget tank and he's got a light on it that he recommends and he uses. I would probably check out his series of videos on that.
So 75 gallons about the same size as the Reefer?
Yeah.
What type of coral, as you said?
No. What type of coral?
Yeah, what type of coral, Josh?
At the lower end of the name brand lights, I'd probably go AI.
Yeah.
AI have a pretty good reputation from what I understand. Haven't used them personally, but they're definitely good lights.
Yeah.
So.
We ran a single Radion Gen 4 over the Red Sea for years, which is probably the first 2 years of its life, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
There's enough spread, there's enough light, it worked really well. That's an expensive light.
Soft corals.
Okay, soft corals, yep.
Yeah, Josh, I'd definitely check out Inappropriate Reefers video. Yeah, it's the nano budget build or something. I think it's like a 20 gallon tank, but you could probably get away with like 2 of those lights over yours.
Yeah. We now run the Red Sea lights, Red Sea LED 50s.
Yep, on
Yep,
the Red Sea.
on the Red Sea. I run 2 of them because I do run it. It is a softy dominant tank. It's more of a predator tank than a coral tank, but I do have some nice corals in there. Yeah. So, and so far I'm really happy with the Red Sea lights. They're fantastic.
Yeah. He just wants more of a blue evening.
Yeah, but we've got to fix that up. So
we've got time now, as everyone does, because if you don't know, we're isolating over here as well.
like everywhere in the world.
Yeah, pretty much. So use this time to pay attention to your reef, watch your reef, and let it talk back to you.
Yep. That's it. Any more questions on there? We're going to answer the next question.
Let's go. Freddie has suggested to Josh maybe start with T5s.
There you go.
There you go. I've got no idea.
We've never had anything with T5s. They were well and truly phased out, for lack of better terms, when we started. One thing I do hear about T5s are that you've got to replace the bulbs every 6 months. and by the time you do that 2 or 3 times, you've paid off a Radion or a Red Sea Light or something more higher end.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Chris has said via Facebook, how do you get make a fish eat that doesn't want to?
Ooh, we're struggling on that one.
So it depends on where you're talking about. If you're talking about in quarantine, I believe that give the fish places to hide. Get as much PVC plumbing in there so it's got lots of places to hide, because a safe and secure fish will eat.
Yeah, if he's happy and feels
Safe and
secure, yeah, you'll be fine.
Because we've had quarantine fish where we haven't provided that sort of setup, and so hard to get them to eat.
Yeah. Our first quarantine setup was an old freshwater tank with a on the side filter, and we had 2 terracotta pots for them to hide in, and the opening was facing towards the front of the tank, so we could see them.
Yeah.
It was not good.
It wasn't
not good.
ideal.
So,
But yeah, we've seen, like, especially seeing, though we've had experience with TTM, tank transfer method, like plastic tubs with PVC pipes. Best thing, the fish are so calm, they just let you pick them up, and like, that's a sign of a stress-free fish.
If you're talking about in your actual display tank itself, I don't know. We recently introduced a lionfish and an eel over into the Red Sea, and the eel is eating like a trooper. He is a pig. The lionfish, on the other hand, so far he's been in the tank a week and he hasn't eaten.
Yeah.
We've been told not to worry about it, not to stress about it, but deep down I still am. But
Yeah. Lionfish can take up to 3 weeks to eat.
yeah.
So
It really depends on what type of fish you're talking about.
the best thing is to try them with a variety of different
Multiple
foods.
foods.
First of all, when you buy a fish, try and get the fish store to show you that it's eating.
Find out what they're feeding as
Find out what they're feeding and take some.
Yeah, whatever it is that they're feeding, be it pellets, be it frozen food or a mixture of both, flakes, whatever the food is, buy some of that food so you're keeping its routine. You can wean it or teach it to eat something different, but it will take time.
Yeah.
But yeah, do that first.
Also find, if you're especially quarantining, like if you're quarantining more than one fish, it does help if one of the other fish are eating as well, because they sort of want to mimic that behaviour as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I hope that's answered your questions there, Chris.
Any on YouTube? Any questions on there?
No more questions at the moment. What we might do is we might take.
Okay, that's the next question.
What's the next question?
Next question is, what's it like to be a YouTuber, and do you get recognised when you visit local shops? Funny thing was, we were actually standing in Nick. So Nick is actually the owner of Nick's Aquarium, Terrarium, and Ocearium. Sorry, I forget that the wrong way around, Nick. Nick said this at exactly the same time as we were standing in his shop, and he didn't know we were there yet.
Yeah.
This was yesterday afternoon. So.
And Nick is our sponsor.
And Nick is our sponsor, so we love you, Nick. Yes, we do get recognised. It's.
I mean, probably the biggest thing was when we went to Macna last year and got recognised.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. Like
Other side of the country, other side of the world, sorry.
yeah.
Other side of the world, and people going, oh, it's the 2K Reefers, we love you guys. It's like, it feels really cool. It does.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't got a huge follower base. We're 2,000 on YouTube, or we're not quite there yet.
No, can't see it.
No.
1.88.
1.88 subscribers on YouTube. We're about 3,000 on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah. No idea on Facebook. So look, we don't have a huge following, and we would love to have a huge following, but we do get recognised when we go to places, especially when we go to events and stuff like that. People know who we are, especially local people know who we are now.
But on the other hand, a lot of people know who we are but won't come up and see us. Like, just come up and see us. We're just ordinary people. And as to what's it like being a YouTuber? It's hard work.
It is hard work, yeah. Especially if we're doing a video every single week, which is what we do generally. Obviously, we didn't put a video out last week, although we did put our wedding live public, which wasn't meant to happen. Thank you to all those that watched it. That was actually just meant to be on private for our friends and family. But
Good night, Freddie. He's
Night,
going
Freddie.
off to sleep. It's 1 a.m.
okay, good night, Freddie. Yeah, it takes a lot of work. You got to be planned in advance of what you're going to be filming. Film it and then edit it so it's ready to go the next weekend. And then there's no break.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. There's no break because then you know you then got to film again, edit it, ready for the next weekend, and then it just continues on and on and on and on and on. So it is actually a lot of hard work.
I think though, as YouTubers, we're trying to be as ethical as possible, so we will show the bad stuff as well as the good stuff, because we believe that you learn more from your mistakes than you do from a perfect tank. So that's our ethical stance. A lot of YouTubers out there are a bit fake.
Yep.
Not talking about necessarily in the reefing industry, but
Just YouTubers in general only show the good side of life, not the downsides.
Sponsored stuff.
Yeah. Whereas we do show everything. Like if we have a tank crash, we'll tell you about it. If we have fish die, we'll tell you about it. Like there's nothing that we hide with the tanks.
Yeah.
So yeah. Another part of Nick's question is why did you start a YouTube on your Reef? Oh, so why did we start the YouTube? Why did we start YouTube, and why did we choose a reefing channel? We've actually got a couple of YouTube channels, but we started the YouTube channel for the reefing.
So basically, when we were researching setting up our first tank, we were watching a lot of YouTube channels, and a lot of the content was rather dry.
Yeah.
And we just thought, well,
We can do that.
We can do that. We're setting up a tank, and like part of my creative outlet now is editing. So like I try to make the edits as fun as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much it is noticed, but you know, I try and make it.
When the video's not when it's Friday night and the video's not ready, I see the stress in Darren, and yeah. But otherwise, yeah. But we also did to document our journey as reefers as well, from where we started to where we are now. Like we can go back and look at those first videos, probably cringe, but we can go back and look at them, watch them, and go, oh yeah, we did this right, we did that right, or we could have done this better. We you know, yeah, and our journey's there documented.
But not just that, it also forces you to analyse your tank. It forces you to spend time with your tank.
Yes.
And I believe, unless you're going for a super simple setup, you're in for the long haul when you start a reef tank. You need to take care of the living beings in your tank. So it's not something you can just set and forget. Like, I think a lot of tanks fail out there because people just don't spend enough time with their tank and look at it closely every day and see how it's going. We don't. I think we've answered all our questions. Did you want to show the people Eli?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Alright, there's going to be a bit of movement on the camera. We're going to take off the tripod. Try not to drop it.
Yes, try not to drop it.
Alright, we'll follow Darren. Excuse our messy house.
Here he is.
Alright, so we have Simba, the lionfish. Here, hiding in the corner there. It is daytime here, and I realise there's a dead fish there. And then Eli, Eli, our eel, is there. He is a trooper. He eats like a pig. You have got eggs.
I don't think you'll be able to
No,
pick
you
them
can't
up.
really see the eggs there.
Yeah, so our clownfish have decided to breed. They have eggs. Show them what we're feeding.
Okay. Oh yes, where are they? Not the ones on the. So we picked up a couple of freshwater mollies yesterday. Sorry guys, not really good with this gimbal. We acclimated them for probably 3 or 4 hours. And hey Ricky. And we put them in the tank last night. One of them didn't survive, but we won't show that. I don't know. You do. You go.
Okay.
Do we want to get some food out for Eli? Nah.
So yeah, this is Gordon's tank.
I'm very proud of my Aptasia.
Yes.
No, I'm not really, but it's there.
Where's some?
Over the back.
Oh, there's some there. Oh, there's a big one down there. Oh, there's one there.
There's a garden of it over the back here.
Oh, where are we? There we go. Wow. That's some beautiful Aptasia, but look at the coralline algae. I hate you. So yeah, Gordon's tank is going quite well, especially seeing though at the start of the year it was filled with algae.
Yep.
Let's go back over. We got Homer, we got Jesse the Bangai Cardinal.
Do you want to clip? Lens clip?
Nah. Mr. Pinky. So yeah, Reef Seal is doing pretty well as well.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, you want to put it back up there?
Yep. Anybody else got any more questions?
If not, I think we're pretty talked out anyway. It's been lots of fun doing this.
I'm back.
It's been lots of fun doing this. I hope you've enjoyed today. I think we've put out some nice information for everyone, a bit of background on us, a bit of background on our tanks, and answered a few questions as well.
Yep.
If you have enjoyed today's video,
Let us know if you like this style of video. I actually quite enjoyed it.
yeah, very much so.
Let us know if you did. If you want to see stuff like this more often, let us know in the comments below on this
And
video.
any topics you want us to talk about, things like that.
Yeah. We're not out of ideas. We just didn't get our video ready this week. This is why we're doing this. we were getting close to the video being ready, but we had a lot of other stuff happening in the last couple of weeks, as you probably know. So we sort of put the video for this week off till next week. So
At the moment, I think in the world, it's just a good opportunity to sort of slow down.
yeah, interact with people, even if it is via a camera. So you know, use things like House Party, use things like Zoom to catch up with your friends when you can't do it in person. You know, organize drinks at home with your friends via video chat. It's, you know, it's times like this where we need to actually be more social, even though we can't be social.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So
But if you have enjoyed today's video, like, comment and subscribe.
like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment and subscribe. And as always, be excellent to each other, especially at this time. And keep it salty.
And keep your social distancing. See you guys.
Catch you later. How do I stop?